I never studied Shakespeare at university. I never took a college course on Shakespeare. I was bumming around Europe a lot in my late teens and found myself in London and started going to the theater. RSC, National, Royal Court, hitchhiking up to the Edinburgh Festival. And I started seeing Shakespeare plays all the time. And I'd hold down some crummy job and come over to England to see 20 plays in 20 days, year after year. And it was like a drug. And it was also better than any drug I was taking at the time. And I've continued to take that drug for many years. And I'm very lucky to spend my life immersed in Shakespeare. So that's how I came to Shakespeare. And kind of like, is it Demetrius or Lysander, one of those lovers in Midsummer stays drugged and in love? That's the way I've experienced Shakespeare.
Very good, thank you. And Nigel, a little bit about your Miltonic beginnings.
It's very interesting. I have a sort of converse experience. So I grew up in North London, or on the edge of London and South Hertfordshire. And you got a lot of Shakespeare at school then. And so this would be in the 1970s. And I remember when I was 11, so that was in 1970, being taken to see a local school production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I was quite amazed by the acting, even though, of course, it was secondary school acting, so in fact, it probably wasn't very good at all. And I was amazed by the way in which Shakespeare's interest in imagination, in illusion, how love needs both to work, was realized in a performance. And then as I went through the rest of secondary school and then on to university, so it's very hard in this country to escape from the hold of Shakespeare. And indeed, if you live in the London area, to escape from the presence of old plays, of Renaissance theatre being performed in our theatres, of which we're very proud in this country. So, although it wasn't... I do remember seeing an amazing performance of Hamlet at the Roundhouse. I remember being taken to Stratford to see Donald Sinden playing King Lear, and that was an amazing evening that I'll never, ever forget, and it made King Lear my favourite play. So how did I get to Milton? We had 2 books of Paradise Lost to learn for A-level, and actually I couldn't get on terms with it. In fact, the whole class couldn't get on terms with it, and in the end, I think the teacher gave up, and we skipped it. You know, it was more rewarding, it seemed, to do Thomas Hardy, Harold Pinter, and 3 Shakespeare plays. But I went to university. I actually went to the University of Hull in the northeast of England, and the reason I did that was to read history as well as English, because I couldn't decide which I wanted to do, and you could do that there. And I suppose it was learning 17th century history in the first year, and also being taught Milton. And then I realized, my God, this guy's so ambitious. The poetry is written and realized according to this fantastic plan where he's trying to outdo everyone who's ever written poetry before, not just in English, but in any language, as far as he could know it at the time. And it's actually a whole approach to living. It's a philosophy. And he has these interesting values. He doesn't like monarchs. He's kind of against the grain. He's a rebel. That was interesting too. So although it was far too late in the late 1970s to be experimenting with substances, certainly one could have strong opinions about public matters, political matters, as one certainly did up in Hull at the time. And Milton, along with William Blake, was a great poetic totem for such things. So my story is really that as I didn't really discover myself until that first term at university, and then I realized I was going to be a literature professor within about 6 weeks, really. It's all I wanted, it's all I've ever wanted to do, and I'm still doing it. It's a great privilege. And Milton has been the great guide, because he aimed at so much, he achieved an awful lot of it, and he did it with the odds stacked against him in a variety of ways, which we may come to talk about later on. But most of all, his vision, he is a visionary poet, and his vision is astonishing in ways that I think this evening might, I hope, surprise you.
Thank you very much, Nigel. I think we will definitely come back to quite a few of those points. But now, we're going to get on with the meat of our evening, the two sections of advocacy. So we're going to begin with Jim advocating for William Shakespeare.
Thank you.
Take it away.
I get a half an hour, and I'm going to share that with the actors who will really make the case, because they've made the case for me. I'm not here to argue that Shakespeare is better than Milton. I'm really here to argue why I value Shakespeare more than I value Milton, and I want to explain how I feel and why I feel that way. I should say that as soon as Hannah set this up, I asked that I go second. I've read Julius Caesar, and I know what happens when Brutus goes first. And then I argued alphabetically. It didn't work. They asked that I speak first. I could stand up here and argue with Harold Bloom that Shakespeare invented the human. I don't believe that, and I'm not here to gush in those ways. I could argue that Shakespeare has contributed so much to our language, and his poetry is in many ways unrivaled. But neither of those things truly explain why I value Shakespeare as much as I do. One of the most important things for me about Shakespeare and about a life since my late teens steeped in Shakespeare is that Shakespeare is the great poet of relationships. I mean fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, sisters and sisters, brothers, servants and masters, every relationship you can imagine, Shakespeare penetratingly explores and relentlessly explores. And in the sonnets, just one or two relationships are penetratingly explored in 154 variations that have been unrivaled. But I had to choose a scene to begin this evening that captured for me the complexity of how Shakespeare explores relationships. And Milton is pretty good on relationships, but only for me up to a point. When I think of that great Miltonic line about Adam and Eve, and I don't want to get it wrong, he for God only, she for God in him. It serves as a kind of dividing line between what Shakespeare can offer and what Milton does offer. I made the lives of two of our actors very difficult by asking them to come in and do cold a scene from Much Ado About Nothing. And I'll introduce that scene just to bring you up to speed and explain a little bit about how this captures what I'm talking about rendering the complexities of relationships. Why don't you stand up so that I can at least point to the two of you. Sam is Benedict, and Pippa is Beatrice. Something once happened between them, and they were almost a couple. Shakespeare never explores what that is, but we know that they have some bad history behind them. They've gone through about 2 hours now in a play, bantering with each other, perhaps the wittiest banter in all of Shakespeare between man and woman. And at this point in the play, they finally realize, despite everything, and perhaps because of everything, that they love each other. That alone would make for a great scene. But Shakespeare is creating here two scenes that are going on at once. One is a great love scene in which two characters, mature characters, tell each other that they love each other. The other is a radically different scene in which a woman asks a man to kill his best friend. Only Shakespeare gives you both at the same time. And I challenge even fans of Jane Austen or Bronte or Milton to offer something like this. So with apologies to the actors for asking him to pick up in the middle of an extraordinary moment, I'll get out of the way.
Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while?
Yea. And I will weep a while longer.
I will not desire that.
You have no reason. I do it freely.
Surely I do believe your fair cousin is wrong.
How much might the man deserve of me that would right her?
Is there any way to show such friendship?
A very even way. But no such friend.
May a man do it?
It is a man's office, but not yours.
I do love nothing in the world so well as you. It's not that strange.
As strange as a thing I know not. It were as possible for me to say, I love nothing so well as you, but believe me not, and yet I lie not. I confess nothing, and yet I deny nothing. I am sorry for my cousin.
By my sword, Beatrice, thou lovest
Do
me.
not swear and eat it.
I will swear by it that you love me, and I will make him eat it that says I love not you.
Will you not eat your word?
With no sauce that can be devised to it. I protest I love thee.
Why then? God forgive me.
What offence, sweet Beatrice?
You have stayed me in a happy hour. I was about to protest I loved you.
And do it with all thy heart.
I love you with so much of my heart that none is left to protest.
Come, bid me do anything for thee.
Kill Claudio.
Ha. Not for the wide world.
You kill me to deny it. Farewell.
Tarry, sweet Beatrice.
I am gone, though I am here. There is no love in you. Nay, I pray, let me go.
Beatrice.
In faith I will go.
We'll be friends first.
You dare easier be friends with me than fight with mine enemy?
Is Claudio thine enemy?
Is he not approved in the height a villain, that hath slandered, scorned, dishonoured my kinswoman? Oh, that I were a man! What, bear her in hand, until they come to take hands, and then with public accusation, uncovered slander, unmitigated rancour. Oh, God, that I were a man! I would eat his heart in the marketplace.
Hear me, Beatrice.
Talk with a man out of a window, or a proper saying.
Nay, but Beatrice.
Sweet hero, she is wronged. She is slandered, she is undone.
Beatrice!
Princes and counties. Oh, surely a princely testimony. A goodly count convect. A sweet gallant, surely. Oh, that I were a man for his sake. Or that I had any friend that would be a man for my sake. But manhood is melted into courtesies, valour into compliment, and men are only turned into tongue, and trim ones too. He is now as valiant as Hercules, that only tells a lie and swears it. I cannot be a man with wishing. Therefore I will die a woman with grieving.
Tarry, sweet Beatrice. By this hand I love thee.
Use it for my love, some other way than swearing by it.
Think you in your soul that the Count Claudio hath wronged Hero?
Yea, as sure as I have a thought or a soul.
Enough. I am engaged. I will challenge you. I kiss your hand. And so I leave you. By this hand, Claudio shall render me a dear account. As you hear of me, so think of me. Go, comfort your cousin. I must say she is dead. And so farewell.
It's very distracting because I'm so caught up watching them. And if you had seen them 2 hours ago when they first worked through this, and all of a sudden, it is more than three-dimensional. It is a multi-dimensional moment. And we all got caught up. in this. I almost feel like I could and should rest my case here. I heard when Pippa said, "Kill Claudio," any number of you laugh. And it's no small thing. There are many kinds of laughter in Shakespeare. There are not many kinds of laughter in Milton.